Today's one's going to be about how do you value your time. It's Anthony Smith. How's everyone doing? I want to talk about this because it is an interesting topic in my own situation I'm going through now of how to value time and what's worth it and what's not, day in and day out. Making sure that whatever I'm doing is actually valuable towards the end game, the end dollar, the end goals. And for me, how I valued it is interesting to say the least. It's a mix of what I'm getting paid currently in my jobs versus what I see future benefit, what something could be, versus also the time that is spent overall. Because you do have to make some time for family and some fun. You got to do some other stuff. Obviously, I work hard and play hard. That's kind of how the rules go. Then you got to put in the time of, okay, how much do I want to sleep? What is that time worth to me as well? And you kind of got to figure all these things out. And over time, over my process, it's become like a future investment. Most of the things I do right now, I have one job at night that is a current. Okay, it's paying me for now. This is my solid check. But everything else I do, the other probably 10 to 15 hours a day is spent deciding on other things. Is this worth my time? Is this viable to my goals? And then I'll waste a couple hours in there, obviously. So you gotta put in those hours wasted. Then you get put in the amount of time you sleep. I try to do 6 hours. Usually gets around 6 to 8 that I end up getting. It's not bad. That's I'm not. It's healthy. At the same time, it's also a pretty good number in terms of having enough hours a day to get enough done. But then also you got to think about efficiency. So today's the topics are what I'm working on: how to efficiently use time, and how to make sure what you're doing is worth the time. And it comes down to one, a saying that I've heard: uh, having something done versus being perfect is much more important. So getting it out there, some things may not be absolutely perfect, but it is good just to get certain things done. It's not, you don't want to dwell on things too long or take too much time, because then at the end of the day it's going to be just you're using up more and more of your energy on something that's not needed. Like you're trying to get that last percentage of perfection. How long will that take versus it was at 96% and it's good enough to be a minimum viable product. So to anyone out there trying to figure that out, I don't know. It's kind of a touch game for everyone. I'd love to help anyone. Obviously I'm not an expert, but it's good just to talk about it. Usually when you talk about these things, and while I do this podcast, I get a good feel for it even more because I'll hear myself talking about a subject and then come back to it and understand it a little more, simply because it's just hearing it from a different angle instead of it all being mental in your head, because your head has a way of changing and discombobulating what you're thinking about, because it adds in these weird thoughts of failure or fear. When you're listening to something, you'll think about like the ideas that come right away, and that's kind of what you need to do. So even if you have to think of, like, record your ideas or write them down, leave them sit for a day, or like your daily activities, leave it sit for a day, come back and look at them like, are all these things I'm doing worthy of my time? What's my time worth? And from there you'll be able to get a sense of your efficiency. It'll work on each other. And then, obviously from there it's all gold. It's a function of just, you don't have to be crazy and just working 100% of the time, but you'll learn how to be efficient. So maybe stuff that was taking you 12 hours in a day, you decide just play some music and get it done, and maybe it only takes you 6. That's 6 hours. You could do something else, work towards your goal more, maybe study for something, maybe go out and have some more fun, play around at golf, whatever you do, hit the beach. But at the very least, you'll get the same amount done with less time. And it's better for it. I promise you this. We all take time for granted, but it is the most valuable thing we have. The moments we have in life, it's the one thing we can't buy back. It's the one thing we can't get returned to us. This is Anthony Smith. Once again, reach out. Twitter at the Anthony S. Facebook. There's a YouTube channel. Whatever you need, reach out. Hope you're having an awesome day.